climategate crooks recast themselves as victims, and that is certainly the unified front in Europe, in the Pacific, in the United States, in North America. That's what all the headlines are saying. They're saying it's horrible. And day one, that was their plan. And we did bite on that a bit because they called it hacked emails. But now the evidence is clear that months before, this was circulated around all over the British media. No one would run with it. Investigators and government were given it. And that it was researchers inside. But they're still calling it a theft because researchers weren't allowed without the university's authorization to take evidence of this crime. And this is taking that university alone over $50 million in the last 20 years and spending it on this and then producing fraudulent returns of a warming earth and all these fantastic end-of-the-world Armageddon-type scenarios of rising sea levels, all the major coastal cities flooded, to push a political agenda. And we have the internal UN directives now that broke earlier in the week, where they were organizing all these scientists. And so they go to the government, block the FOIA request for the documents. There's a huge internal debate that goes on concerning this. And the people that valiantly released evidence of a crime, they're the people that are in trouble. This would be like if you saw your neighbor in their backyard running a methamphetamine lab, and you took photos of them cooking the methamphetamine from your back window and gave it to the police, and then the police came and charged you with being a peeping Tom. I mean, that's basically what they're doing here. Look at this. Inhofe asked Boxer to investigate possible scientific conspiracy in climategate. And how does she respond in a speech? You call it, this is a quote, you call it climategate, I call it email theftgate. She said during a committee hearing, whatever it is, the main issue is, are we facing global warming or are we not? I'm looking at these emails that even though they were stolen are now out in the public. But, I mean, 2 days after it broke, the media, the Associated Press, called up Professor Jones and he said, yeah, those are my emails. Yeah, no, I wrote that. Those are ours. And then in the documents, it wasn't just the emails, it was the computer program with the notes by the programmers. They put notes in programs for other techs that are looking at it later and trying to use it. And they say, well, here's how we carry out the fraud. I mean, you can go read the quotes. Here's how we do the trick. Here's how you show it's getting hotter when the data really shows it's getting colder. Here's how you flip the numbers. Just like 3 different major electronic voting machine companies in the last 5 years, they made HBO documentaries about it. Inside their programs, they have programmer notes about how to manipulate it and how to flip it and how to cheat. I mean, that's how programs work. I don't know much about computer programming, but we have a lot of computer programs around here, and I've sat over my IT guy's shoulders and sat there and looked at them reading notes from programmers in the programs we've bought or that we're using. And so I mean, that's how this works. There are functions and there's always bugs in programs, and there'll be notes in the program about how to get around bugs. But this isn't just a bug. This is telling them in the programs how to engage in fraud. And then you have email after email. How do we hide this from the public? Don't worry, I'm working with the government in the U.S., England, and Europe, and we're blocking it. I talked to the Library of Congress people, and they're going to help us. And I talked to this federal person, and I talked to that federal person. In fact, I ought to just pull these up and read them on air. And once I discussed how damaging this information would be, they totally agreed it shouldn't be released. Excellent. Oh, they're definitely on our side. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And then we have the UN documents that came out 4 days ago, which is in mainstream news. Associated Press and Fox News are the only major U.S. publications I've seen so far that have reported on it, where the UN is having these internal reports going out to all the major university heads to don't tell the public it's about global government. Don't tell them it's about socialism and how we're taking over. and you've got to help us get this done, and you can't allow anyone to criticize man-made global warming, and oh, we're not going to say it's warming now, we're going to say any change, the seasons are unnatural. Teach them that the seasons aren't normal. Yes, teach the children. Yes, winter is abnormal, summer is abnormal. I mean, this is just giant total fraud. Watching these arrogant climate crooks publicly brainwash children worldwide under a covert UN program, now public. It's the same brainwashing in Australia, Canada, US, Germany, doesn't matter. To go home and tell their parents they're climate crooks, don't take a hot bath, don't leave the water running while you shave or brush your teeth, how to write their parents mock tickets that they then bring back to their teachers in the public schools, to watch Al Gore arrogantly up there saying the science is settled, no one can question him. Any change in the climate, if it's hotter one year or colder the next, that's evidence that man is evil and that we have to erect a global taxing system paid directly to him and others. It's just a fraud so magnificent, so huge, so ridiculous, that's why it's hard for me to sit up here every day and talk about it. And I'm getting hundreds of emails every day and calls by the media saying, you and others were right, it is a fraud. How did you know? How did I know the ice caps on Mars were getting smaller? Now they're getting bigger. Your SUV has nothing to do with that. It's the sun. The sun. It's what drives almost all temperature on this rock. If we weren't orbiting that sun at close range, ladies and gentlemen, we'd be a frozen rock. It's the sun. And I know as listeners you understand that, but we've got to get the word out to people. Okay? I can go pull up the data. I'm no scientist. Carbon dioxide has been 14 times higher in the last 200,000 years. Lord Monckton's written a detailed report linking to other official ice core and silt samples that it was 20 times higher. Excuse me. The numbers I saw were 14. Carbon dioxide is good. I mean, they talk about some 0.4 increase. 0.4? And if I see one more television show or one more newspaper cover saying man-made climate change is real, we must save the earth or we're all dead, with a photo of a power plant with steam rising out of it. See, smoke doesn't dissipate. Smoke, they haven't in over 60 years had smokestacks with real smoke coming out of them under law. It's steam. My office is near a semiconductor microchip plant, one of the few factories still running in Austin, and they've got giant cooling systems and heating systems, and in the summer, you see nothing coming out of them. You know why? The plant's going full speed because it's not cold. You walk outside my office right now, it looks like 500 redwood trees are burning. I mean, there is white smoke, according to the dumbed-down public, shooting out. No, it's water vapor. And look, I know it's asinine to sit here and lecture people that when it's a cold day and you exhale, that's not fire. That's not smoke. You're not a dragon.